What if the moment you punished someone for being small was the moment life showed you how small your own heart really was? The office was alive with clicking keyboards and whispers of deadlines as Ava sat quietly at her desk, her stomach twisting. In hunger, she'd skipped breakfast again to save a few coins for her mother's medicine. When the smell of food from the break room became too much, she pulled a small sandwich from her bag. It wasn't much, just bread and cheese wrapped in paper. She took one careful bite, praying no one would notice. But fate rarely stayed kind for long. The elevator doors opened and silence rippled through the floor. Everyone straightened in their seats. The Billionaire CEO, Nathan Cole, had arrived. He walked, with sharp precision, his suit perfect. His eyes cold, his reputation built on discipline, not mercy. He stopped near Ava's desk, his voice firm. "What is that?" She froze mid-bite. "Sir, I'm sorry, I was just hungry." He frowned. "You're eating during work hours," she stammered. "I haven't had a break, sir," he gestured toward security. "Take your things, you're done," she blinked, confused and terrified. "Sir, please, I need this job." He didn't even look back. "Rules are rules, miss." The entire office went quiet. As she packed her bag, her eyes blurry with tears. She walked past the glass doors into the hallway, pulling out her phone, her hands shaking. She whispered into it. "Mum, I'm so sorry, I'll find another one. I promise." "No, I didn't eat yet. Don't worry about me, please, just take your medicine, okay? I love you." The elevator doors closed, but her trembling voice echoed in the air behind her, and in that echo, something cracked inside Nathan's chest. He stood frozen, unable to move his reflection. In the glass suddenly looked different, smaller. He heard her voice again, replaying in his mind. "I didn't eat yet," and for the first time in years, the man who thought he had everything felt the weight of what he'd just destroyed. Not a rule, not a worker, but a person. Nathan stood by the window, staring at the city below, but all he could hear was her voice echoing in his head. "I didn't eat yet, Mom." The words felt like a knife twisting through every layer of pride he had built over the years. He tried to focus on the numbers flashing on his tablet, the deals, the profits, but none of it mattered anymore because for the first time in a long time, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had become everything he once hated. He called his assistant in a clipped tone. "Find the employee I fired today, Ava, something, I need her file." The assistant hesitated. "Sir, she's already cleared her desk." Nathan looked up, his jaw tightening. "I said, find her within an hour. They had an address, a small apartment in the old part of the city." Nathan hesitated at the door of his office, unsure why he was doing this. Maybe guilt, maybe something deeper. He grabbed his coat and left. When he reached her building, it was raining. The hallway smelled of dust and detergent. He knocked softly. No answer. He knocked again, the door finally opened, and there she was. Her eyes red from crying, her face pale with exhaustion. She froze when she saw him, the same man who had ruined her morning, standing there. "Like a ghost, what do you want?" she asked, her voice shaking. Nathan's voice was low. "I came to apologize," she laughed bitterly. "Billionaires don't apologize, sir. They replace people." He looked down. "You're right, and that's why I'm trying not to be one anymore." She tried to close the door, but he stopped it gently. "Please just hear me out," he said. "I was wrong. I didn't even ask why you were eating. I just reacted like a man who forgot what hunger looks like." She stared at him, speechless. Her hand still on the door, he took a slow breath. "I heard you on the phone with your mother, Ava. I shouldn't have, I know, but I did. And it broke me because my mother sounded just like that when she was sick, and I was too busy building an empire to even be there when she died." Her eyes softened slightly as his voice cracked. He continued quietly. "You didn't deserve what I did to you. I fired you for being human, and I can't undo it, but I can fix what's next." He handed her a small envelope, trembling in his hand. She frowned. "What is this?" he said softly. "Your job back with a promotion and enough to cover your mother's treatment." She gasped, staring at him, speechless. "I can't take this." He smiled faintly. "Then consider it my punishment. You working beside me, reminding me what humanity feels like." Ava stared at the envelope in her trembling hands, her voice barely a whisper. "Why would you do this after what you did to me?" Nathan looked at her quietly, the rain behind him glistening in the hallway light. "Because guilt doesn't change anything unless it's followed by action," he said softly. "I've spent years firing people for being late, tired or human, but today I fired someone who reminded me that hunger isn't always about food. She hesitated, the weight of her pain and his sincerity colliding inside her chest. "Sir, I don't know if I can work for you again," he nodded. "I understand, but at least let me help your mother." She shook her head. "You can't fix everything with money, Nathan. I'm not trying to fix it with money," he said, his voice breaking. "I'm trying to fix it with meaning." She looked at him, unsure how to respond. For a long moment, there was only the sound of rain tapping against the window. He said quietly, "I lost my mother because I cared more about my company than her. I can't go back, but maybe I can make sure no one else goes through what I did." The next day, Ava returned to the office, not as a desperate worker, but as the new head of the company's community program. Nathan introduced her to the staff himself, his voice calm and sure. "Miss Ava will lead our new initiative for employee welfare." She looked around, seeing the same faces that had watched her walk out, humiliated, now filled with surprise and quiet admiration. Months passed. The cold billionaire became someone different. He joined her meetings, asked questions, listened, truly listened. He learned to smile again, and the company changed with him. The rules stayed, but the walls between people began to fall one afternoon as they walked through the office. She said quietly, "I still remember that day you fired me." He nodded. "And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure no one else gets fired for being hungry." She smiled softly. "That's a promise worth keeping." That evening, as the office lights dimmed, Ava stopped by his door to leave a small paper cup on his desk. Coffee, strong and simple, with a note that read, "For the man who finally learned what being human tastes like." He picked it up, smiling faintly. For the first time, it didn't taste like caffeine. It tasted like peace. If this story made you smile, share it with someone who needs a reminder that accidents can turn into beautiful beginnings.